Ji-Woo Kim walked quietly through the halls of Nexus Station. Her small feet made no sound on the metal floors. She kept her head down and her shoulders hunched. Other cadets moved around her like she was invisible. The Galactic Defense Academy was huge. Windows showed the stars outside, but Ji-Woo rarely looked up to see them. She was too busy trying not to be noticed. At 19 years old, she was one of the smallest humans in her class. Most aliens thought all humans were small, but Ji-Woo was small even for a human. "Hey, Ji-Woo!" Taemin Park jogged up behind her. He was the only person who regularly talked to her. "Ready for combat training?" Ji-Woo shook her head. "I'm going to fail again." "No, you won't. You just need more practice." Taemin smiled, but Ji-Woo could see the worry in his eyes. They both knew she was the worst fighter in their group. The training hall was enormous. Alien cadets from different worlds practiced together. The Vorthak looked like giant lizards walking on two legs. They were 8 feet tall and covered in scales. The Threnodi looked like bears but twice as big. The Morvani glowed with blue light and floated instead of walking. Ji-Woo felt tiny next to all of them. Instructor Sun-Hee Lee, one of the few human teachers, called for attention. "Today we practice hand-to-hand combat. Pair up with someone from a different species." Ji-Woo's stomach dropped. She hated this part. Fighting aliens was like fighting monsters from her worst dreams. A huge Vorthak named Yeon-Soo Choi looked down at her. His yellow eyes glowed. "I'll take the small human," he said. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. Other cadets laughed. Ji-Woo wanted to disappear. "Begin!" Sun-Hee called out. Yeon-Soo moved slowly like he was playing with a toy. His clawed hand reached for Ji-Woo. She tried to dodge, but her legs felt like water. She stumbled and fell hard on the mat. "Pathetic," Yeon-Soo said. "Humans don't belong here." Ji-Woo got up. Her face burned with shame. She tried to throw a punch, but Yeon-Soo caught her fist easily. His grip was so strong it hurt. "Stop playing around, Choi," Sun-Hee said. "This is training, not torture." Yeon-Soo let go. Ji-Woo fell backward again. Around the room, other fights continued. She could hear the sounds of aliens winning against each other, but she couldn't even touch her. "Opponent, time!" Sun-Hee called. Ji-Woo walked to the side of the room. Her roommate Dayeon Song was there, shaking her head. "You're embarrassing all humans," Dayeon whispered. "Maybe you should quit before they kick you out." Ji-Woo said nothing. She had heard this before. After training, Ji-Woo went to her room. It was small, with 2 beds and a window. Da-eun was already there packing her bag. "Where are you going?" Ji-Woo asked. "Study group with the other humans. We're trying to figure out how to pass the final tests." Da-eun paused at the door. "You're not invited. Sorry, but you'd just slow us down." The door closed with a soft hiss. Ji-Woo was alone. She sat on her bed and looked out the window. Earth was visible as a small blue dot far away. She wondered if she should just go home. Her parents had been proud when she got accepted to the academy. But what if she couldn't do it? What if Da-eun was right? Later that night, Ji-Woo couldn't sleep. She put on her training clothes and walked to the combat hall. It was empty and dark. She turned on one light and stood in the middle of the room. "Computer, start basic combat program," she said quietly. A holographic enemy appeared. It looked like a basic humanoid shape, no face or details. Ji-Woo had fought this program 100 times. She knew every move it would make. The hologram attacked. Ji-Woo tried to block, but it was too fast. The hologram's fist hit her stomach. Even though it was just light, the training system made her feel the impact. She doubled over, gasping. "Again," she whispered. The hologram reset. This time, Ji-Woo tried to attack first. She threw a punch, but the hologram easily stepped aside. Its counterattack knocked her down. Again, she fought the same hologram 20 times. Each time, she lost. Her body was covered in fake bruises. from the training system. Her muscles ached. But she kept trying. "Why do you do this to yourself?" Jiwoo spun around. Instructor Sun-hee stood in the doorway. I was just practicing," Jiwoo said. "I can see that." Sun-hee walked into the room. "Computer, lights." The room became bright. Sun-hee looked at Jiwoo with kind eyes. "You know, I was like you when I first came here." "You were?" "Smaller than most humans, afraid of everything. The aliens laughed at me, too." Sun-hee sat down on a bench. "But I learned something important. Sometimes, the quietest people are the strongest." Jiwoo sat down next, to her. "I don't feel strong. I feel like I'm going to break." "That's because you don't understand what strength really is. You think it's about muscles and claws and size, but real strength is different." "What do you mean?" Sun-hee smiled. "You'll figure it out, but not tonight. Go get some sleep." As Jiwoo walked back to her room, she didn't notice the small camera in the corner of the training hall. She didn't see the alien scientist watching the recording with great interest, and she didn't know that her vital signs during the fight had shown something very unusual, something that shouldn't have been possible. In her room, Da-eun was already asleep. Jiwoo lay in her bed and stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow there would be more training, more failures, more shame. But something felt different now. Sun-hee's words echoed in her mind. Maybe strength wasn't what she thought it was. Outside her window, the stars watched and waited. In the depths of space, ancient predators moved between worlds. And on a small space station, a shy human girl fell asleep, not knowing that soon everything would change. The academy was quiet now, but in the shadows of the training hall something stirred. The safety systems registered a small glitch, then corrected themselves. Everything seemed normal. For now. The morning alarm buzzed through Nexus Station. Jiwoo woke up tired and sore from her late-night training. Da-eun was already gone, probably at breakfast with the other humans. Jiwoo dressed slowly and walked to the dining hall. It was massive, with tables arranged by species. The Vorthok sat together, their scales gleaming under the lights. The Threnody made loud eating noises that sounded like growling. The Morvani floated above their tables, absorbing energy instead of eating food. At the far end sat the Kektar. They looked like large insects walking on two legs. Their table was small and pushed into a corner. Most other species ignored them completely. Jiwoo took her food and looked for somewhere to sit. The human table was full. Da-eun saw her coming and quickly looked away. Jiwoo felt her face burn with embarrassment. She found an empty table near the Kektar section. A young Kektar named Ziktal sat alone, picking at his food with thin fingers. His big eyes looked sad. "Can I sit here?" Jiwoo asked quietly. Ziktal looked surprised. "You want to sit with me?" "If that's okay." "Yes, please." His voice was soft and musical. "I don't get many visitors." They ate in comfortable silence. Jiwoo learned that Ziktal was also struggling with the Academy's training. His people were smart, but not strong. Like humans, they were near the bottom of the Academy's unofficial ranking system. "The strong species get the best assignments," Ziktal explained. "Vorthak become military commanders. Threnody lead assault teams. Morvani get research positions. People like us." He didn't finish the sentence. "What happens to people like us? Support roles, filing reports, cleaning equipment. If we're lucky, we might get to be translators." Jiwoo felt a familiar anger in her chest. It wasn't fair. Being small didn't mean being useless. After breakfast, they had weapons training. Instructor Min-ho Yoon, a human man with gray hair, demonstrated how to use a plasma rifle. He was one of the few humans who had earned respect from the aliens. "Remember," he said, "this weapon can cut through steel. Always check your safety settings." Hyun-Soo raised his clawed hand. Why do we need to learn human weapons? Vorthak claws are better than any tool. Because, Minho said calmly, different situations need different tools. Claws are good for close fighting. Plasma rifles work at long distance. Humans need tools because they're weak, Hyun-Soo said. Other aliens laughed. Minho's expression didn't change. Maybe, or maybe humans learned to be smart instead of just strong. During the shooting practice, Ji-woo did better than usual. Her small hands fit the rifle well and she could aim carefully. She hit 7 targets out of 10. Not bad, Minho said quietly as he walked past her. Keep practicing. But the good feeling didn't last long. In the afternoon, they had physical conditioning. This was always Ji-woo's worst class. Aliens ran faster, jumped higher, and lifted heavier weights than any human could manage. The instructor was a Threnody named Groktar. He stood 9 feet tall and was covered in thick brown fur. His voice boomed like thunder. Today, we practice carrying injured teammates, he announced. In real missions, you must be able to help fallen soldiers. He paired students together. Ji-woo got matched with a medium-sized Morvani. Even though Morvani were made of energy, they still had weight when they took solid form. This is useless, the Morvani said. The human cannot carry me. Try anyway, Groktar said. Ji-woo struggled to lift her partner. The Morvani was too heavy. Her arms shook and her back hurt. Finally, she collapsed, gasping for air. Pathetic, Groktar rumbled. In real battle, weakness gets people killed. Across the room, Hyun-Soo was easily carrying a Threnody twice his size. He looked at Ji-woo and laughed. Maybe humans should stay on their little planet, he said loudly. Space is for real warriors. Other aliens nodded in agreement. Ji-woo felt tears starting in her eyes. She blinked them back. After class, she saw Hyun-Soo cornering Ziktal in the hallway. The big Vorthak had the insect-like alien pressed against the wall. Your people are even more useless than humans, Hyun-Soo snarled. At least humans try to fight. You just run away. Please leave me alone, Ziktal whispered. Make me, Bug. Ji-woo stepped forward. Her heart was pounding, but she couldn't watch this anymore. Stop it, she said. Her voice came out smaller than she wanted. Hyun-Soo turned to look at her. What did you say? I said stop it. He didn't do anything to you? Hyun-Soo laughed. The weak human wants to protect the weak bug. How? Sweet. He reached out with one clawed hand and pushed Ji-woo backward. She stumbled but didn't fall. Leave us alone, or I'll make you sorry, Hyun-Soo said. Ji-woo wanted to fight back. She wanted to stand up for Ziktal and herself, but she knew what would happen. Hyun-Soo was 10 times stronger than her. He could hurt her badly without even trying. That's what I thought, Hyun-Soo said when she didn't move. Weak creatures should know their place. He walked away, laughing. Ziktal looked at Ji-woo with grateful eyes. Thank you for trying, he said softly. I didn't do anything, Ji-woo said. She felt ashamed and angry at the same time. You cared enough to try. That's more than most people do. That evening, Ji-woo went to the Academy's library. She wanted to understand why the galaxy worked the way it did. Why were some species considered strong and others weak? She found files about different alien cultures. The Vorthak had been warriors for thousands of years. They conquered other planets and took what they wanted. The Threnody were hunters who could track prey across entire continents. The Morvani were ancient beings who had mastered energy manipulation. Then she found files about humans. Most of them were written by aliens who had studied Earth. They described humans as primitive primates who had barely mastered space travel. The files said humans were weak, slow, and had no natural weapons. But as Ji-woo read deeper, she found something interesting. There were old reports from human military history that the aliens had mostly ignored. Stories about humans doing impossible things in desperate situations, lifting cars to save trapped people, fighting off predators much larger than themselves, surviving injuries that should have been fatal. The alien reports dismiss these stories as exaggerations or primitive mythology. But what if they weren't? Jiwoo printed out several files and took them back to her room. Da-eun was there, studying with 2 other human cadets. "What's all that?" Da-eun asked. "Research," Jiwoo said. "About what?" "About us. About humans." One of the other cadets, a boy named Jun-ho, laughed. "What's to research? We're the weakest species here. Everyone knows that." "Maybe we are," Jiwoo said. "Or maybe we just don't understand ourselves yet." Da-eun shook her head. "Don't waste your time on fantasy stories. We need to focus on what's real." But as Jiwoo read the files late into the night, she began to wonder if what everyone thought was real might not be the whole truth. In the medical bay, Dr. Yoonji Kang was reviewing the daily health scans of all cadets. Most readings were normal, but there was something strange about the human data. Under stress, human bodies did things that didn't match any known biology. Heart rates that should be impossible, muscle responses that defied explanation, chemical changes that no other species showed. Dr. Kang made a note to investigate further. It was probably just equipment errors, but the readings were consistent across all humans. Something was different about them, something the galaxy didn't understand yet. 3 weeks before graduation, Academy Commander Veltar made an announcement that changed everything. He was a tall, thin alien with silver skin and 4 arms. His voice echoed through the main assembly hall. "Cadets, the final trials begin in 10 days, he said. "These tests will determine your placement in the Galactic Peacekeeping Force. Those who fail will be sent home." Jiwoo felt her stomach drop. Around her, other cadets whispered nervously. Even the confident ones looked worried. "The trials will test everything you have learned," Veltar continued. "Combat skills, problem-solving, teamwork, and survival instincts. Only the strongest will earn positions in the main fleet." After the announcement, chaos erupted. Study groups formed quickly. The stronger species grouped together, planning how to dominate the trials. Weaker species like the Kektar huddled together, looking scared. "We need to train harder," Taemin said to Jiwoo as they walked to lunch. "Maybe if we work together, we can both pass." But Jiwoo barely heard him. She was thinking about what "sent home" meant. It meant disappointing her parents. It meant proving that humans really were too weak for space. It meant giving up on her dreams. That afternoon, they had preliminary combat tests. These were supposed to be practice, but everyone knew the instructors were watching carefully. Jiwoo faced off against a Morvani cadet named Luxara. The energy being glowed bright blue and moved like lightning. Jiwoo couldn't even see the attacks coming. In 30 seconds, it was over. Jiwoo lay on the mat, her training uniform smoking from energy burns. The safety systems had protected her from real injury, but the humiliation was complete. "Next," the instructor called, not even looking at Jiwoo. She crawled off the mat and sat against the wall. Other cadets fought around her, but she couldn't focus on them. All she could think about was how useless she was. "Hey," a voice said softly. Ziktal sat down next to her. His big insect eyes looked concerned. "Are you okay?" "No," Jiwoo said honestly. "I'm going to fail." "Maybe we'll fail together," Ziktal said. "At least we won't be alone." That evening, Jiwoo couldn't eat dinner. Her stomach was twisted in knots. She went to her room early, but Da-eun was there with her study group again. "Can you go somewhere else?" Da-eun asked. "We're trying to focus." Jiwoo took her reading materials and left. She wandered the halls of Nexus Station, looking for a quiet place to think. Eventually, she found herself in the observation deck. Through the huge windows, she could see Earth in the distance. She pulled out the files she had been reading about human history. There were stories about something called an adrenaline rush. When humans were in extreme danger, their bodies could produce chemicals that made them stronger and faster for a short time. But the alien scientists who had studied humans said this was impossible. According to galactic biology, no creature could safely increase its strength beyond normal limits. Ji-woo touched her chest, feeling her heartbeat. Sometimes, when she was really scared or angry, she felt strange, like electricity was running through her body, like something was trying to wake up inside her. But she had never felt stronger. She had only felt more afraid. Interesting reading? Ji-woo jumped. Instructor Min-ho Yoon stood behind her. In the dim light of the observation deck, his gray hair looked silver. Just trying to understand, Ji-woo said. Understand what? Why we're so weak. Why we can't do what other species can do. Min-ho sat down next to her. For a long moment, he stared out at the stars. You know, he said finally, I've been in the galaxy for 30 years. I've seen a lot of species, fought alongside many of them. And I've learned something interesting. What? The strongest-looking species aren't always the ones who survive when things get really bad. Ji-woo looked at him. What do you mean? I mean that sometimes the galaxy surprises you. Sometimes the quiet ones, the ones everyone ignores, turn out to be the most dangerous when they need to be. Before Ji-woo could ask what he meant, Min-ho stood up. Get some sleep, he said. Big day tomorrow. But Ji-woo couldn't sleep that night. She tossed and turned, thinking about the trials. In her dreams, she saw herself failing test after test, while aliens laughed at her. The next morning brought worse news. During tactical analysis class, Instructor Jae Hyuk Lim announced that humans had the lowest average scores of any species. Perhaps, he said, looking directly at the human cadets, some of you should consider alternative career paths. After class, Hyun-soo and his Vorthak friends cornered Ji-woo in an empty hallway. I heard a rumor, Hyun-soo said, his yellow eyes gleaming. They're going to create a special category for humans, participation awards for species too weak to compete normally. That's not true, Ji-woo said, but her voice shook. Isn't it? Face it, human. You don't belong here. None of your species do. He leaned closer. Maybe you should save yourself. The embarrassment and quit now. Leave her alone. They all turned. Taemin stood at the end of the hallway. His fists were clenched. Hyun-soo laughed. Oh, look. Another weak human wants to play hero. I said leave her alone. Or what? You'll bleed on me? Hyun-soo moved faster than Ji-woo could follow. One moment, Taemin was standing. The next, he was on the floor, holding his stomach and gasping for air. Pathetic, Hyun-soo said. He looked down at Ji-woo. If you want to help your friend, carry him to the medical bay, if you can. The Vorthak walked away, laughing. Ji-woo knelt next to Taemin. He was conscious but hurt. She tried to lift him, but he was too heavy. Her arms shook with effort. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry I can't help you. It's okay, Taemin gasped. Just get a teacher. But as Ji-woo looked at her only friend lying hurt on the floor, something hot and terrible filled her chest. It wasn't just anger. It was rage, pure, burning fury at a galaxy that treated kindness as weakness. Her heart started beating very fast. Her hands began to shake, but not from fear. Something was waking up inside her body, something that had been sleeping for a long time. She didn't understand what was happening, but she could feel it, like a storm building inside her bones. Ji-woo, Taemin looked worried. Your eyes, they look different. Ji-woo blinked. The feeling faded, leaving her confused and tired. I'll get help, she said. But as she ran to find a teacher, she didn't notice that her hand had left a small crack in the metal wall where she had braced herself to stand up. Later that night, the Academy's medical AI ran routine diagnostics. It found several small anomalies in the human biological data. heart rates that spiked beyond safe levels, muscle tension readings that didn't match the subject's apparent physical capabilities. The AI flagged the data for review, then deleted it as obvious sensor errors. After all, the reading suggested that under stress, humans could temporarily become something impossible, something dangerous, and everyone knew that was ridiculous. In her room, Ji-woo lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow would bring more tests, more failures, more humiliation. But deep inside her body, ancient genetics stirred. DNA that carried the memories of a species that had survived ice ages and predators and disasters that would have destroyed weaker creatures. Ji-woo. Kim had no idea that she was descended from the most dangerous hunters in Earth's history. She was about to find out. The day of the final trials arrived gray and cold. Nexus Station's artificial weather system was set to simulate a storm, making the training areas dim and dangerous looking. Ji-woo stood with the other cadets in the main combat hall. Her stomach felt like it was full of ice. Around her, aliens checked their equipment and spoke in confident voices. The humans stayed together in a small group, looking nervous. Commander Veltar's voice echoed through the hall. Today you face the ultimate test. You will enter combat scenarios designed to push you beyond your limits. The safety systems will protect you from death, but pain and failure are real. He paused, his forearms moving in complex gestures. Remember, only the strongest will earn positions in the primary fleet. Everyone else goes to support roles or goes home. The first test was individual combat against holographic enemies. These weren't the simple practice programs Ji-woo had fought before. These were designed to be nearly impossible to beat. One by one, cadets entered the combat chamber. Through the viewing screens, others could watch their performances. The Vorthak smashed through their enemies with brute force. The Morvani used energy attacks that lit up the chamber like lightning. Even the Threnodi showed impressive speed and power. Then it was Ziktal's turn. The small Kektar entered the chamber, his insect-like body trembling. The holographic enemy appeared, a massive warrior with 4 arms and metal armor. Zikatal tried to dodge, but the enemy was too fast. In moments, he was defeated. He crawled out of the chamber, his big eyes filled with tears. Failure, the testing computer announced in a cold voice. More cadets went in. Some passed. Some failed. The humans did poorly. Daeun lasted 30 seconds. Junho managed 40. Taemin fought hard but was overwhelmed in the end. Then it was Ji-woo's turn. She walked into the chamber on shaking legs, the door sealed behind her with a heavy sound. She was alone. Begin test, the computer said. The holographic enemy materialized. It was huge, standing 9 feet tall with massive claws and glowing red eyes. It looked like something from her worst nightmares. The creature roared and charged at her. Ji-woo tried to dodge, but she was too slow. The hologram's claws raked across her chest. The training system made her feel every bit of pain. She screamed and fell backward. "Get up!" she whispered to herself. "Just get up!" She rolled aside as the creature's foot crashed down where her head had been. Her ribs hurt from the first attack. Her vision was blurry from fear. The creature grabbed her leg and lifted her into the air. Through the viewing window, she could see other cadets watching. Some looked bored, others were laughing. This was it. This was how her dreams would die. But then something happened that changed everything. The safety system glitched. For just a moment, the hologram became real. Not completely real, but real enough. The claws became sharp. The strength became deadly. The creature holding Ji-woo was no longer just light and force fields. It was a real predator, and it wanted to kill her. Ji-woo felt the change instantly. Her body knew the difference between fake danger and real danger. Every cell in her body screamed that death was seconds away, and something woke up. Her heart exploded into action, beating so fast it should have killed her. Chemicals flooded her bloodstream, adrenaline, noradrenaline, and others that had no names. Her muscles swelled as blood vessels expanded. Her vision became crystal clear. Time seemed to slow down. The creature was pulling back its free hand to strike a killing blow. Ji-Woo could see every detail of its claws. She could predict exactly where the attack would land. She had perhaps 2 seconds to live. Without thinking, without planning, Ji-Woo grabbed the creature's arm. Her small hands wrapped around the massive limb, and she pulled with every bit of strength her body could produce. The creature weighed 700 kilograms. It was made of dense matter and powered by energy cells. It should have been immovable. Ji-Woo ripped it off the ground and hurled it across the chamber. The creature flew through the air like it had been shot from a cannon. It crashed into the far wall with the sound of thunder. The reinforced metal cracked. Sparks flew from damaged equipment. The chamber fell silent. Ji-Woo stood in the middle of the room, breathing hard. She stared at her hands like they belonged to someone else. What had just happened? How had she done that? Impossible, someone whispered through the viewing screen. The safety system flickered back online. The creature became a hologram again, but it was damaged beyond repair. The computer struggled to analyze what had occurred. Test concluded, it finally announced. Result unclear. Ji-Woo walked out of the chamber in a daze. Every cadet in the viewing area stared at her. The Vorthak looked shocked. The Morvani's glow flickered with confusion. Even the instructors were speechless. How? Hyunsu demanded. How did you do that? Ji-Woo shook her head. I don't know. But that wasn't entirely true. She could still feel something in her body, like electricity in her veins. Like a sleeping giant that had opened one eye, Dr. Yoonji Kang burst into the room, her medical scanner beeping frantically. I need to examine her immediately, she said. Her vital signs are off the charts. What do you mean? Commander Veltar asked. Her heart rate hit 220 beats per minute. Her blood pressure spiked to levels that should have caused immediate death. Her muscle activation reached 100% capacity across her entire body. Dr. Kang stared at her scanner. According to this, she briefly became physically impossible. In the medical bay, more tests revealed more mysteries. Ji-Woo's body temperature had risen by 3 degrees during the incident. Her reflexes were still twice as fast as normal. Chemical analysis of her blood showed compounds that weren't supposed to exist in human biology. This doesn't make sense, Dr. Kang muttered, reviewing the data. No known species can do what you just did. Maybe the equipment is broken, Ji-Woo suggested. I thought so too. But look at this. Dr. Kang showed her a video recording of the chamber. The wall where that creature hit has a crack 6 inches deep. The creature itself was completely destroyed. That would require approximately 15,000 pounds of force. Ji-Woo watched herself on the recording. The small human girl grabbing something massive and throwing it like it weighed nothing. It looked impossible even though she had lived it. What's happening to me? She asked. I don't know, but I'm going to find out. Word of the incident spread quickly through Nexus Station. By evening, representatives from different species were demanding explanations. Some wanted Ji-Woo studied. Others wanted her quarantined. A few suggested that humans might be more dangerous than anyone had realized. In her room, Ji-Woo sat on her bed while Da-eun packed her belongings. I failed my test, Da-eun said without looking at Ji-Woo. They're sending me home tomorrow. I'm sorry. Are you? Or are you glad that you're suddenly special? Da-eun's voice was bitter. For years, you were the weakest human here. Now everyone's talking about you like you're some kind of monster. I never wanted this. Didn't you? Da-eun finally looked at her. Didn't you always dream of being strong enough to fight back? Ji-Woo thought about all the times she had been humiliated, all the nights she had cried herself to sleep, all the moments she had wished she could be someone else. Yes, she admitted quietly. Well, congratulations. You got your wish. Daun closed her bag. I hope it was worth it. After Dayun left, Jiwoo was alone with her thoughts. She looked at her hands again. They looked normal, small and soft like they had always been, but she could still feel something underneath, something waiting. Instructor Min Ho knocked on her door. How are you feeling? He asked. Confused, scared. That's understandable. He sat down across from her. Jiwoo, what happened today wasn't an accident. It was something that's been building inside you for a long time. What do you mean? I mean that humans have capabilities we don't fully understand. Capabilities that only activate under extreme stress. His eyes were serious. What you did today was just the beginning. Beginning of what? Of discovering what you really are. Late that night, Jiwoo stood at her window, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there were worlds full of creatures stronger and faster than her. But for the first time in her life, she didn't feel small. She felt dangerous, and that terrified her more than any alien ever had. In the Academy's research lab, Dr. Kang worked through the night analyzing data. The more she studied Jiwoo's test results, the more incredible they became. Humans, it seemed, had been hiding their true nature from the galaxy, and maybe from themselves. 3 days after Jiwoo's impossible feat, Nexus Station buzzed with activity. Scientists from across the galaxy had arrived to study what the media was calling the human incident. Jiwoo found herself at the center of attention she never wanted. Dr. Young-Suk Shin, Earth's top xenobiologist, arrived on the morning transport. She was a stern woman with sharp eyes and gray hair pulled back in a tight bun. Jiwoo had heard of her. She was famous for discovering new forms of life on distant worlds. Miss Kim, Dr. Shin said, when they met in the medical bay. I've come to understand what happened to you. I wish I understood it myself, Jiwoo replied. Dr. Shin pulled up holographic displays showing Jiwoo's biological data. Your body produced chemicals that shouldn't exist in normal human biology. Your muscle fibers somehow generated force levels that should be physically impossible. But it happened, Jiwoo said. I saw the recording. Yes, it happened. The question is how and why now? Over the next several days, Jiwoo underwent dozens of tests. Blood samples, brain scans, genetic analysis, and physical examinations. Dr. Shin worked alongside alien scientists, all trying to solve the mystery. Meanwhile, news of the incident had reached the highest levels of galactic government. Representative Hae-Won Choi from the Galactic Council demanded a full investigation. If humans have been hiding dangerous capabilities, she said in an emergency session, the Council needs to know immediately. Earth's military liaison, General Dong-Wook Kim, defended humanity. We haven't been hiding anything. We're as surprised as you are. But privately, General Kim was asking his own questions. He pulled classified files about human military history, looking for patterns that might explain Jiwoo's abilities. Back on Nexus Station, Jiwoo struggled with her new reality. Other cadets treated her differently now. Some were afraid of her. Others wanted to study her like a lab specimen. Even Tae-min seemed nervous around her. You threw a 700-kilogram creature across a room, he said, when she asked why he was acting strange. How am I supposed to act normal about that? Only Ziktal remained unchanged. The small Kektar still sat with her at meals and talked to her like she was the same person. You're still you, he said when Jiwoo mentioned feeling isolated. You just discovered something new about yourself. But what if it makes me dangerous? What if I hurt someone by accident? Then you'll learn to control it. That's what training is for. Dr. Shin's research was producing fascinating results. She discovered that all humans carried dormant genetic sequences that activated under extreme stress. These sequences triggered the production of powerful chemical cocktails that temporarily enhanced physical performance. It's like your species has a built-in emergency system, she explained to Ji-woo. When you face life-or-death situations, your body can briefly become superhuman. Why don't other species have this? Because they didn't need it. Most species evolved on worlds with predictable dangers. Humans evolved on Earth, where survival meant adapting to constant, unpredictable threats. Dr. Shin showed Ji-woo images of Earth's prehistoric past. Your ancestors faced ice ages, volcanic eruptions, massive predators, and climate changes that would have wiped out other species. Only the ones who could push beyond normal limits survived. So this has always been inside us? Yes, but it's usually suppressed. Modern human life is too safe to trigger these responses. That's why no one knew about it. The Academy created special training protocols to help Ji-woo understand her abilities. They built reinforced chambers where she could practice without destroying equipment. Instructor Jae-hyuk Lim worked with her to find ways to control the stress responses. The key, he said, is learning to activate these abilities without losing control of them. But that proved harder than anyone expected. Ji-woo couldn't simply turn her enhanced strength on and off. It only activated when she truly believed she was in mortal danger. "I can't fake it," she told Dr. Shin. "My body knows the difference between real threats and training scenarios." That makes sense. This is a survival mechanism, not a combat technique. The political implications of the discovery grew more complex each day. Some alien species demanded that humans be removed from military positions, fearing they might be unpredictably dangerous. Others wanted to recruit more humans, specifically for their hidden capabilities. The Vorthak military, led by War Commander Kelkton, issued a formal protest. "Humans have deceived the galaxy about their true nature. This cannot be allowed to continue." But the Kektar Council had a different view. "Perhaps," said their representative, "the galaxy has been too quick to judge strength only by obvious physical traits." Ji-woo found herself caught between these political forces. Representatives from different worlds wanted to interview her, military leaders wanted to recruit her, scientists wanted to study her. "I just wanted to graduate from the academy," she told Dr. So-young Park, the therapist assigned to help her cope with the attention. "Change is difficult," Dr. Park said, "especially when it happens so suddenly. But remember, you're not responsible for how others react to your abilities." As the investigation continued, Dr. Shin made more discoveries. She found that the human stress response system was more complex than anyone had realized. It didn't just enhance strength. It improved reflexes, increased pain tolerance, enhanced mental processing speed, and even temporarily improved healing. "You're not just stronger when this activates," she told Ji-woo. "You become a more efficient version of yourself in every way." For how long? That depends on the individual and the situation. Sometimes minutes, sometimes hours. But there's always a cost afterward. Exhaustion, muscle damage, chemical imbalances. Ji-woo had experienced this firsthand. After throwing the creature, she had slept for 12 hours straight and felt weak for days. The Academy began testing other human cadets to see if they showed similar potential. The results were surprising. Every human tested showed the dormant genetic sequences, but activation levels varied widely. Tae-min showed strong potential for enhanced reflexes. Another cadet named Min Jung demonstrated temporary increased intelligence under stress. Even the humans who had already failed and gone home were recalled for testing. "It appears," Dr. Shin reported to the Galactic Council, "that all humans possess these capabilities to some degree. Miss Kim is simply the first to fully activate them in a controlled environment." This news caused an uproar across the galaxy. If every human was potentially superhuman under stress, what did that mean for galactic society? Some worlds called for restrictions on human travel. Others wanted to form alliances with Earth. A few paranoid species even suggested that humans had been planning this revelation all along. General Kim worked overtime to calm tensions. "We're as surprised as anyone," Humans have never shown these abilities before because we've never been in situations desperate enough to trigger them. But now that you know, challenged the Vorthak representative, how can we trust that humans won't use these abilities aggressively? The same way you trust any other species, General Kim replied, by judging us by our actions, not our capabilities. On Nexus Station, Ji-Woo continued her training while the galaxy debated her existence. She learned to recognize the early signs of her stress response activation, increased heart rate, heightened awareness, chemical changes in her saliva. "If I can catch it early," she told Instructor Lim, "maybe I can control it better." Possibly. But remember, this evolved as an emergency system. Fighting against it might be like trying to stop your heart from beating. 6 weeks after the incident, the investigation reached its conclusion. Dr. Shin presented her findings to a joint session of the Galactic Council and Earth's government. Humans possess a unique biological adaptation that allows temporary enhancement of physical and mental capabilities under extreme stress, she reported. This trait evolved naturally and has been present in the species for thousands of years. It poses no threat to galactic security when properly understood and managed. The Council voted to allow humans to continue their integration into galactic society, but with new protocols for monitoring and training their stress response capabilities. Ji-Woo watched the vote from Nexus Station. When it passed in humanity's favor, she felt relief but also pressure. She had become a symbol of her entire species' potential. "No pressure," Taemin joked, but his smile was forced. That evening, Ji-Woo stood in the observation deck, looking out at Earth. The small blue planet seemed impossibly far away, but also somehow closer than it had ever been. She was no longer just Ji-Woo Kim, the shy cadet who couldn't fight. She was the human who had shown the galaxy that her species was more than anyone had imagined. The question now was, what to do with that knowledge? In her pocket, she carried orders for her first assignment after graduation, the Galactic Peacekeeping. Force had created a new division specifically for crisis response situations. They wanted her to lead it. The shy girl who had once hidden from attention was about to become the most important human in the galaxy, whether she wanted to or not. 6 months after graduation, Lieutenant Ji-Woo Kim stood on the bridge of the GDF Harmony, watching a small planet grow larger on the main screen. Her new uniform felt strange. The insignia of the Crisis Response Division was still unfamiliar to her eyes. "Lieutenant," called her communications officer, a young Kektar named Takhi. "We're receiving distress signals from the surface. Multiple species are trapped in what appears to be a natural disaster." Ji-Woo nodded calmly. The shy cadet who used to whisper was gone. In her place stood a confident officer who had learned to trust her abilities. "What's the situation?" she asked. "Massive earthquake has collapsed the main city's underground transit system. Rescue teams can't reach the survivors because the tunnels are too unstable." Her tactical officer, a Morvani named Flux Ara, added, "Conventional rescue equipment is too heavy. The remaining supports can't handle the weight." Ji-Woo studied the readouts. 50 beings trapped underground, air running out, and no way to reach them safely with normal methods. 6 months ago, this would have been an impossible situation. "Prepare the emergency response team," she ordered. "We're going down." Her team was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Humans trained to work with their stress response abilities, paired with aliens who brought their own unique skills. They called themselves the Impossibles because they specialized in situations where conventional rescue was impossible. Taemin Park, now her second in command, approached with the mission briefing. "The good news is we know exactly where the survivors are. The bad news is getting to them requires lifting about 10 tons of debris in a space too small for machinery." "Then we do it the human way," Ji-Woo said. On the planet's surface, local authorities watched in amazement as the human rescue team prepared for their mission. Ji-Woo had learned to access her enhanced state through controlled stress techniques, rather than waiting for life-or-death moments. She began with breathing, exercises that increased her heart rate. Her team medic, Dr. Beho Yun, monitored her vital signs as her body began its transformation. Heart rate rising, he reported. Adrenaline levels increasing. Chemical cascade initiating. Ji-woo felt the familiar sensation of electricity in her veins. Her muscles swelled slightly as blood vessels expanded. Her vision became crystal clear. Time seemed to slow down, but unlike that first terrifying experience, she was now in complete control. Team 1, you're clear to proceed. Dr. Yun announced. Ji-woo and 4 other enhanced humans descended into the collapsed tunnels. Behind them came alien specialists, Kektar, with their ability to squeeze through tiny spaces, Morvani, who could provide light and communication through energy fields. The underground was a nightmare of twisted metal and broken concrete. In the distance, they could hear voices calling for help. There! Taemin pointed to a massive concrete slab blocking the tunnel. That's what's trapping them. The slab weighed at least 8 tons. Moving it would require precision. Too much force in the wrong direction could cause more collapses. Together, Ji-woo said. On my count. 4 enhanced humans took positions around the concrete barrier. Their stress response systems were all active, giving them temporary strength that defied physics. 3, 2, 1, lift. The massive slab rose into the air like it was made of foam. They held it steady while Kektar rescuers scrambled through the opening to reach the trapped survivors. 20 minutes later, all 50 survivors had been evacuated. The rescue that experts said would take days with conventional equipment had been completed in less than an hour. As her enhanced state faded, Ji-woo felt the familiar exhaustion, but also satisfaction. They had saved lives that would have been lost without human abilities. The rescue made galactic news. Once again, humans had done something that seemed impossible. But this time, instead of fear or suspicion, the galaxy responded with gratitude and amazement. Back on the Harmony, Ji-woo found a message waiting from her old academy instructor, Sun-hee Lee. She was now director of the reformed Galactic Defense Academy. The academy has changed, Sun-hee wrote. We no longer rank species by traditional strength measures. We evaluate each cadet's unique capabilities and help them develop their potential. What you started has transformed how we think about diversity and strength. The Academy now had specialized programs for every species' natural abilities. Kektar trained in intelligence and problem-solving roles. Morvani developed their energy manipulation skills. Humans learned to safely access and control their stress response capabilities. More importantly, mixed species teams were now standard. The old hierarchy based on physical dominance had been replaced by cooperative systems that valued different types of strength. Ji-woo's former bully, Hyun-soo Choi, had requested assignment to her division. When she asked him why, his answer surprised her. Because you taught me that strength isn't about making others feel weak, he said. Real strength is about protecting people who can't protect themselves. He had become one of her most trusted team members, his Vorthak natural abilities complementing human stress response enhancement perfectly. The Galactic Council had also changed its policies. The human protocols now guided how the galaxy integrated species with unusual or hidden capabilities. No longer would any species be judged solely on surface appearances. Dr. Young-suk Shin's research had revealed that many species had untapped potentials. The Kektar, it turned out, could link their minds together for collective problem-solving under the right conditions. Some Morvani could temporarily phase between dimensions when highly focused. Every species has adapted to survive their homeworlds. Unique challenges, Dr. Shin had written in her landmark paper. Those adaptations often hide capabilities that seem impossible until activated. Ji-woo's personal life had also transformed. The shy girl who once hid from attention had learned to use her influence responsibly. She gave lectures at the academy, teaching new cadets that their perceived weaknesses might actually be hidden strengths. Her friendship with Ziektal had grown into something deeper. The Kektar was now her science advisor, and his intelligence complemented her leadership abilities perfectly. Different species, different strengths, working together. On quiet nights aboard the Harmony, Ji-woo sometimes thought about her journey from frightened cadet to galactic leader. The girl who couldn't lift weights or win fights had become someone who could move mountains when necessary. But the most important change wasn't physical. She had learned that true strength came from connection, understanding, and the willingness to stand up for others. The message alert chimed on her personal communicator. Another crisis, somewhere in the galaxy, another impossible situation that needed the impossibles. Lieutenant Kim to all teams, she announced over the ship's communication system. We have a new mission, prep for emergency response. As her crew rushed to their stations, Ji-woo allowed herself a small smile. The galaxy was a dangerous place, full of disasters and crises that seemed impossible to solve. Fortunately, impossible was what humans did best. The Harmony turned toward the stars, carrying its crew toward another situation where conventional wisdom said success was impossible. But conventional wisdom hadn't counted on the power of species working together, each contributing their unique strengths to solve problems none could handle alone. Ji-woo Kim, the shy cadet who once thought she was too weak for space, now led missions across the galaxy. She had learned the most important lesson of all, that sometimes the greatest strength comes from accepting help from others and offering your own unique gifts in return. The girl who had hurled a 700-kilogram predator across a training yard had grown into something even more impressive, a leader who showed the galaxy that diversity wasn't a weakness to be managed, but a strength to be celebrated. And in the far reaches of space, whenever impossible situations arose, the call went, "Outsend the impossibles!" Because when the galaxy needed someone to do what couldn't be done, they knew exactly who to call. The humans who had once been underestimated had become the ones everyone hoped would answer when hope seemed lost. Ji-woo had found her strength, and in doing so, had helped the galaxy find its own.